So there was a time when I really believed that I had to be a certain way to be a tarot reader, an oracle reader, a hypnotherapist. I thought I had to be a certain way to be an EFT practitioner, an NLP. I just thought there's a certain way to be, like this sort of heart wide open person that just kind of emits love and laughter everywhere. And it had to look this certain way. It had to be this certain way. This person that perhaps just smiled all the time. But then I realized that, I needed to accept who I am and not fake it till I make it. Because I truly believe that this is, whether I'm a millionaire, a billionaire, or where I'm at now, I believe that this is me. My personality is all about holding space and not getting dragged into the story. Sometimes I've seen sessions with other coaches where they've been dragged into the story so much they've fell into the hole with their client. And I've seen this because I've been a facilitator, and that was part of my role, to just observe and witness what was happening in a coaching practice, in a coaching session. And so the way I work is different, and it's not wrong, it's not right, it's just different. And it's what helps my clients to move forward. It's about holding space, not being dragged into the story, not going down the hole with them, but instead being that torch, holding that torch and holding that light and allowing them to expand into the story and not being pulled into the story, not being emotionally dragged into the story, because the story is a story that we've made up from the experiences that we've had in life, the stories that we've made up from other people's stories in their life that they've kind of embedded into our soul. Stories that we can say no more. I am not available. I'm unavailable to that story. And so in terms of what I wanted to say today, it's much more about me just reflecting. Yesterday was a really challenging day for me, because yesterday I felt like it was just off. And it probably to do with what I was consuming. I was consuming lots of people's information that was their highlight reels, what was really great in their lives. I was consuming drama from watching Amazon Prime This Is Us, even though it's an amazing show, amazing actors. I was so embedded into their story that I felt down when they was down. I felt up when they was up. It was almost like this emotional roller coaster, and I wasn't honouring and protecting my energy. So then during the day, in the morning, I was really low. And I couldn't figure out, what is this? What's going on? And then obviously, astrology-wise, there was some things going on there too. And then I almost fell into the story or belief that today was going to be a bad day because that's what my sign said. So again, it was a story. And then smash, whap, bollock. I did my daily YouTube video. And then I was like, then I had a client, a hypnotherapy client. And my whole energy shifted. It shifted because I knew in order for me to serve at both of those levels, I needed to change my energy, transmute it. Because that energy wasn't going to serve me for what I needed to do, what I was being called to do. And I know that sometimes when we are doing things for our practices, when we're running our businesses, we're thinking it's for the other people. It's really for us first, because we need that higher message, we need that higher words, we need that higher sense of wisdom. Every video that I've ever done, it was probably a message that I needed to hear, a message that I can go back to and listen to, be like, yes sis, preach, speak to my soul. Whether I've judged a message because I believe I spoke too fast, didn't have the right diction, didn't articulate it that well, that's ego telling me that I'm not good enough. But not even ego is to blame for all of that, because the ego and me are one. It's part of me. So there's parts of me that I'm dismissing, disliking, dishonouring. And I have to own that. And I'm going to work with my ego to bring it on board to my way of thinking. Because I can't do this by fighting my ego. fighting my ego is very draining. Whereas reprogramming my mind, using neuroplasticity, using neurolinguistic programming is going to help me. I don't know why I shouted like that, but something in me was like, come on. And so today I wanted to do my morning archetype reading, which is all about me seeing what my dark and lightnesses are. The shadow self, the light self. I'm working on both of those, honouring both of those, not trying to be this positive, happy person, but being this balanced person that sees there's great things within, but there's also things within that need to be dealt with, to be brought to the light. And that's my healing work, that's my healing journey. So what do I need to hear today? Thank you, angels, for letting me know of your presence. Thank you so much for revealing to me what I need to hear. So I've just done a real quick 2-card spread, but there's 3 because there seems to be cards stuck together. So I'm just doing this as a 1, 2, 3 spread, which is all about looking at my life and my current situation through, I think it's the root, the heart. It's the root, the heart, and the crown. Yeah, the root, the heart, and the crown. So the root that came up, the root is all about the grounding or lack thereof by which I navigate my fears, habits, and stuckiness. And so I've got, when it comes to the root and what I'm looking for there, the answer there, or the clarification, is all about knowing and spending time with the energy within this point, to look at my current community, my loves, and to see what needs to be shifted. So let's look at that, because today came up the mentor in the root position. So what does that actually mean? So the mentor is to be that cosmic knowledge that pours down on the world like an illuminated waterfall. So according to this, like, the root is my grounding or my lack thereof. So I'm a teacher. It says the true teacher is said to be able to hold this flow of wisdom at bay while the student sips from a focused stream. The mentor archetype has a gift for reading the room, for sensing the exact ingredient that will stimulate growth within the student, whether pleasant or painful. The mentor may appear aloof or unavailable, harsh or tender, humorous or rigid. Their gift is to know what serves the soul. Ultimately, the mentor is in service of the greater cosmic good and aids in the elevation of consciousness. Anytime the mentor forgets this humble link and mistakes themselves for the source of enlightenment, the archetype falls into the shadow. So so as the root, which is what my grounding, like kind of who I am, more or less, in terms of my divinity, as in my 3 ascending chakra centers, like my root, my heart, and the crown. So that actually corresponds to my center. So the root, until there's a chakra energy, is me being the mentor. And when I'm light, I'm focused, I'm clear, I'm bright, I'm a student, I'm always learning. When I'm in the dark, I'm self-serving, envious of youth, righteous, rigid. And so in order for me to constantly step up, in order to be aware, knowing that I'm in alignment, I've got to make sure that my root chakra, as the mentor, in this stage, obviously this will shift. Every day we're shifting, every time we're evolving, every day we're evolving, because we are constantly learning something new. We're changing our perspective, we're expanding. And so when I'm light as the mentor, it's my root chakra, this is the balance I'm at right now. I'm focused, clear, bright, and I'm a student. But when I'm dark, as in when I'm unbalanced, I'm envious, righteous, and rigid. So in order for me to balance that, I need to remember to keep in mind how easy it is to be focused. How easy it is to actually be unfocused and what I'm feeding myself. And to know that I'm still a student. That I'm not perfect. I'm constantly learning. That my growth is always evolving. That it's okay to keep on learning. And it's not something that you kind of set it, do it once and forget it. When I'm reading the success principles, when I'm reading Bounce, when I'm reading To Sell as Human, when I'm reading Think and Grow Rich, when I'm reading To Be a Great Stand-Up, all of those things as a student helps me to stay humble and helps me to stay grounded. And so the root, where I'm at right now, is that I'm open to cosmic knowledge. I'm open to learning. Because as a mentor, I need to know what gifts the soul, what serves it. How can I be of service? So when I'm not of service, I completely go out of alignment. When I'm not raising the elevation of consciousness, I'm out of alignment. So that's where my root chakra is at the moment. So where's my heart? My heart is at the healer. So now the healer, which is really actually number 111, is it's funny because I was reading about the healer, and when I'm thinking of going back to the mentors slightly, the healer isn't actually a person that heals, it's a person that observes, witnesses the healing. Because the healing is actually done by the universe. I'm just a witness. But let me read what it says. So, though some claim the work of the healer as a gift and name it as their dharma, that force of this archetype is within everyone. It's our natural inclination to remember, to return, to reclaim that central and eternal fire, force from which we so easily drift away. In Sanskrit, the word avida means forgetting. And it's said that this is the source of all suffering and disease. So when we forget, that's when we're in suffering and disease. Avida, forgetting, the source of suffering and disease. So my mission as a heart is to move through the comfort of forgetting, through the veils of ignorance and denial, to reveal the radiance that already exists. The healer approaches this in multiple ways from multiple angles, knowing the cycle of healing is not linear. It's multi-layered and it's a process, leading back to its own origin, much like the Aubrios, which I need to read because I've never come across that term before. So when I'm light, when I'm balanced, I'm self-contained, I'm grateful, I'm awake, and I had to get in the grateful mode yesterday. Confession. When I'm dark, I'm tired, I'm needy, I'm forgetting my own practice. I did not want to meditate yesterday. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And so when I woke up this morning, I was like, I need to do some theta healing. I need to do some Siegel work. I need to be reading because I want to, because I know that practice will help me. And it's one of the things I actually recommended my client yesterday because I was like, do you have a practice? And I was like, no. And I was like, here you go, do this. Try this. And they're like, yeah. Anywho, the point is, the healer is a light worker, the gift is the old soul. And whenever I'm in that mode of feeling tired, needy, yesterday I was like, I need people to see me. I need people to appreciate me. It was very much like, why me? And I had to look at that. And, so this makes so much sense to know, that's what my heart, in order to be balanced, needs. Especially like the symbol of the snakes, shedding, forgetting, is suffering, right? So in order for me to remember, I need to shed skin. And I actually said it yesterday. In order for you to remember who you are and whose you are, shed that skin. The The image of the serpent is eternally tied to healing and medicine, both Western and Eastern. Study the serpent and its power. The wounded healer is not someone who was wounded and is now healed. It is someone who continues to courageously break open the self and ego as a means for deep integration. I see that. So it's a myth that you are always healed. You're already healed, right? I think it's this continuous thing. You're continuously breaking, continuously shedding, continuously moving forward. There's continuously something that's there, that's deep down, that you want to break. So that's my heart chakra when it's balanced, right? In order for me to remember, return, and reclaim, it's that self-contained, grateful, awake state. Being awake isn't binging on programs because I'm trying to forget. It's remembering. I watch these programs because I'm trying to forget the hurt and pain of the world. I just want to kind of be with me. But how can I be with me if I'm then implanting and integrating words that don't actually serve me? Memories that don't serve me, that aren't even mine, but are painful. Like there was a time I was watching This Is Us, and a character lost her job, or she got fired. And she then started to talk about how she's not okay. And it reminded me when I got fired at a company. And it brought up so much feelings about not being enough. Them saying one of the reasons that they fired me was because I wasn't connecting with everybody in the organisation. I wasn't a good fit. And that hurt me on a deep soul level, because there was people that I spoke to in the organisation that I thought I was cool with. And it reminded me about being out of integrity and feeling one way only to find that people weren't being honest. Especially when there was no warning signs, and it was only at that time when I was having that meeting when they said, we're not going to renew your contract. And then the person then proceeded to say to me, I don't like doing this. This is hard for me. And so in that moment I was humble enough, or maybe just speechless, where I just said thank you for the opportunity, and let everyone know that I'm grateful for connecting with them. And then when I got home and I processed, and I've been processing still, and I process on that moment sometimes when these things come up in TV shows and when other people talk about it, because there's still a wound there, there's still something that's not healed, and it goes back to not just that moment, but I guess whenever I've connected with friends and family, and then I've heard them gossip about me. And when you hear what people say about you or their perception of you, and they don't say it to your face, again, it's out of integrity. It's out of alignment, and it's my core value. One of my core values is being truthful and honest. And so I'm not one of those people that will tell you that you are doing amazing. If you're not, I'll just keep silent. If somebody wants my honesty, I'll tell them. And maybe not many people can handle that. And none of whatever I say is out of hate. So as the healer, I need to remember my own practice, to stay in alignment, to be grateful and be awake of that. And knowing that people are human beings, right? And they're being human. They're being flawed. They're working on themselves too. And so that compassion part of what I go through and how I observe them, I can't go in that dark hole with them. I can't be that person that gossips. I can't be in that hole. I've got to be the person that observes, that holds the light and says, hey, when you're ready, I'm up here. But I'm not coming down there with you. You must come up here. So that's what I've learned over periods of time. And I'm still learning every day. But as the healer, remembering, returning and reclaiming is pivotal in order to remember, to be awake. Sometimes when I get in circles that are not necessarily for me, and I'm not trying to cause separation here, I think we are all one, right? But I think you don't have to fit in order to belong. And you don't have to have a label on you in order for people to understand you. Labels are for jars, not for people. And I truly believe that when I break open my triggers and I learn what did that actually mean, I am at better service to the world. I'm that light worker, that shadow worker that is here as the container. So that's my heart chakra. Now, the heart chakra, obviously, as the healer, is about my center, is about my deep longing, my calling. And I call to be a healer because I see people's pain, I see people's misery, I see people's depression, and I've been there. And I don't want you to stay there. I want you to come out of there. I honor and accept where you're at, but I don't think you belong there. And that's my job, to help you to connect with source, know that you can connect with source yourself, and just to be the witness and see that great transformation, that transmutation of energy from dark to light. That's my job. So that brings me light, that helps me to stay balanced and awake. Okay, the last but not least is the crown, which is obviously the chakra at the top of the head. And this is about the part of me that wants to reach beyond the self towards heaven. Whatever's blocking my ascension, it will help me to truly understand a little bit more, so that so I'm aware of it and I can again break through. So what's come up for me is the king. So let's see what that actually means in the archetypes. So the kings is all about, so this is for the crown, what's blocking my ascension, or what's moving towards heaven, is that if, as the king, is service, nobility, leadership. So sometimes I'm asked to step up further up. And I'm sometimes a bit like, well, someone else can do it. There's so many great speakers out there, great people that have this wisdom in them and all these degrees and stuff. And then I have to go back and what's staring me in the face is a book by Stephen Furtick, Unqualified. And it reminds me that you might think you ain't got the qualifications. You might think that you ain't that person who has all these things that are materialistic, that perhaps shows that you have manifested. Perhaps you haven't got the numbers that you're looking for and the vanity metrics and all those things. But you've got to remember, in order for your ascension to actually happen, you have the spectrum of the human experience. And that spectrum of the human experience is rich. The king assesses the state of our land, makes decisions and rules accordingly. So the king must be thoroughly and regularly vetted so to avoid corruption. So the king is either seated in benevolence and strengths and guiding you towards peace, or is oppressing the weak out of a need to control. So I could ask myself, where am I looking to control? Whenever I'm not moving forward and up, what am I looking to control? I can tell you for now, when I'm thinking of this, straight off, I'm looking to control my numbers. I'm looking to control my progress. I'm looking to control time. I'm looking to control people liking me. Even though I know validation is within, not outside. So whenever I'm looking to control, I am in the dark. Whenever I'm being of service, I'm noble, I've got divine leadership, and I'm thinking outside of myself, the bigger picture, that's when I'm more benevolent. Some think of the king as the ultimate expression of the ego, but the great kings of mythology and history serve from an egoless place. They take their throne with grace and humility, knowing the divine uses them as a channel to heal deep and long-standing discrepancies in the kingdom. They take their throne with grace and humility. So I know I'm a channel to heal deep and long-standing discrepancies in the kingdom. So I'm a channel, I'm a vessel, right? And I think the other day I got a card called the vessel, yesterday in fact. And it was talking to me about being clear in my vessel. And so this card kind of speaks to me because there's lots of healing work to be done. To die to the ego is what the king needs to do, right? And I always thought maybe it's weird. It says once the king's relationship to divinity is broken or challenged, he often acts from a place of fear, scrambling to uphold his image and power. So I need to truly understand that whenever I'm operating from a place of fear, scrambling to be seen as this perfect person, that I'm in the dark. Whenever I'm focusing on optics, what it looks like, trying to course correct and trying to be perceived as something I'm not, which doesn't happen too often, to be honest. I'm so aware of my flaws, it's ridiculous. So much so that I probably need some Goddess Kuan Yin love, because when I'm compassionate to myself, I can get curious more and curious about what needs healing. When I'm looking from a place of judgment, curiosity dies. Because instead of asking questions, instead of being curious and being open and surrendering, I'm criticizing. And the critic doesn't get the crown. Because the crown is for those that is of service, is noble. So yeah, so what's blocking my ascension is not necessarily taking my seat and to be the divine leader. So there's a few things I'm going to be doing today. Reading Macbeth. Perhaps reading as well as really focusing on how I can be a best version of myself today. Knowing that this awareness is risen up. Knowing that as a light worker, this old soul is here to help the kingdom, to be of service, to be noble. Knowing that when I'm focused, remain a student, I can really do great work. So this is the message for my soul today. And I'm going to do a further reading for clarification. But there might be something in here for you. The mentor, the healer, the king. There might be something in here for you, a message that perhaps resonated with you. So let me know what came up for you in this, my own personal reading. Because sometimes the message is for the collective, sometimes the message is just for me. And if you want a collective message, let me know. And I will be focusing on that. But other than that, thank you for listening. Thank you for really being present. I know how challenging it can be. Because I have that challenge myself. Namaste.